Hi folks, my name is Hayden Shumsky and I'm an educational consultant from Houston, Texas. I talk to families locally, all over the world and throughout the US about the college admissions process. In speaking locally and around the world, I find that the same questions come up again and again. Why didn't my son or daughter get into the school that he or she dreamed of? I think the truth of the matter is that families and students make the same mistakes each year, just as they've been making them for the last several decades. In order to rectify that situation, I want to point out to you, the viewer, the top 10 mistakes in college admissions. So without further ado, here are the top 10 college admissions mistakes. When I tell you that the mistake of sending in poor quality essays and applications is a quite severe mistake, your first thought is probably, Hayden, what's the difference between a good and a bad essay? Well, let me tell you the truth of what happens in an admissions review. An admissions reader, a staff member, typically is reading thousands of applications and essays during the admission period. He or she is probably reading dozens each day, and if you don't capture his or her attention and interest quickly, especially at the end of a day or after they've read thousands of essays over the preceding days, you're going to lose your shot of getting in. To give you a better idea of what a good essay looks like versus a bad one, I'm going to read to you two introductory paragraphs. The introduction needs to capture the reader's attention immediately and be interesting. The bulk of bad essays are boring, and they're wordy, and they don't go anywhere. There's no energy. So to put that in more exacting detail, here's the exact paragraph of a bad essay introduction. In the experience you gain as you progress in life, the meaning of learning changes from a rather static mold to a more fluid style. At first, learning was only about school, math, biology, and English. Later, this school learning became secondary to real-world values. A recent event has brought my maturity to the forefront. Immediately, you can see that the writer is telling us probably something that's important, but they're doing it in a way with no energy. It's going to be very difficult for the reader to stay focused and to be drawn into the essay that will follow. That's what makes an essay bad. It's boring. In contrast, let's look in on a good essay. As I regained consciousness, I realized that the doctor was explaining my injury to mom and dad. The ulnar nerve in the palm of my right hand had been damaged and almost completely severed. Through my post-surgical haze, an internal resistance led me to move my fingers and prove them all wrong. I'm okay, I thought to myself, just a bit dazed. No, I was not okay, and the excruciating pain in my arm was proof of that. My hand was locked in a claw position, and all the force and desire in the world would not change that immediate truth. When the doctor said that I may never again regain complete use of my hand, I screamed unintelligibly, "No!" As you can see, the second example is a much more interesting essay. The reader is brought right into the scene and the energy is high. Most readers are going to be immediately drawn in to the energy of this draft and will be interested in the story to come. We get right to the point and we're ready to jump off into an experience of the student's life. Besides the essay section, the portion of the application which is most often done poorly is the activities section. On the common application, which is used by most colleges and universities in the country, there are 10 boxes to fill in your activities, service efforts, and events that you've been involved in, programs in the summer, jobs, etc. You have to use that space wisely, and you have to, in a very short number of characters, describe the exact details of your experience in a succinct way. I'm going to read to you a bad example of what a student did in terms of describing her activities. Memorial Villages Service League. Our group went around the community working with people who are in need of some extra help. Okay, an admissions person is going to read that and have a hard time deciding, was this a serious effort? What kinds of activities did the student do to help the community? And furthermore, we'll think that the student probably didn't put a lot of effort not only into the description, but also the activity. It could be rewritten in a way that makes a lot more sense, is succinct, and gets across the detail of what the student has done. Here's my version, the good version, of how to write a good activity entry. Memorial Villages Service League. Service activities including planting trees, school supply drive, and assisting elderly citizens. In my example, the good example, a reader gets immediately to understand exactly what the student did and that it was a serious effort.